science project in a way. I
Yeah.
think kind
Oh
of
yeah.
tweaking everything, getting everything dialed in,
Oh, for
how I
sure.
want it, creating my own little space over here. It's
That's
kind of
so cool.
addicting.
It is. It really is. And that's how I feel about starting our shop. It's been just this little like,
Oh, I
there's
bet.
I've learned a lot about intentionality, and just you have to be intentional. Like you have that that project that you're working on, and you get to be intentional about it, and everything is for a purpose, and everything is for a reason, and like it's cool when people come into your space, and then they're like, oh, that's cool, that's cool, that's cool, and like and you get to be like, well, that's not an accident. Like I really focused on this to be the way it is.
Yeah,
And
especially when you're putting in little visual cues that you think are cool. Like I've
yeah,
got things hung up on the wall that I like, and so whenever
right.
somebody says, "Oh, that's a really cool picture," I'm like, "Fuck yeah, it is!"
Yeah,
Right? I
absolutely.
picked that.
Yeah, heck yeah.
I'm sure you can appreciate that, and with a small business, it's almost magnified because
Yeah.
this is your baby. You're putting all
Oh
your
yeah.
work, all your time into this,
Yeah.
and when somebody comes in and is like, "You know what? I like this. I think you've got a sweet spot." It just makes it that much nicer.
Yes, it just feels really good. And there are little pieces that different people can identify with. Like you've got a Giants, like I'm a Giants fan, so like I can identify with that.
Hook, line, and sinker, right there.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't skate, so I don't identify with that. But you know, the little pieces where you can feel connected and stuff is really cool.
So, how is the coffee business? You were from Harbor Coffee and
Yeah,
Wine. For
Harbor
people that
Coffee.
don't know,
Yeah,
you and your wife started this.
yeah.
What was the thought process there?
Um, we so we lived in Reading for about 5 years, so both of us could go to college, and we can probably get into maybe our story a little bit later. But
Yeah.
we grew accustomed to a certain type of coffee that was available to us in Reading, and it's the specialty. We call it specialty or third wave coffee. It's just an elevated experience of coffee, and that's why we are Harbor Coffee and Wine, because it's actually an easy jump between it's people already understand the approach to wine, because wine you're smelling it, you're savoring it, you're tasting it, and then you're identifying different notes, and then the things that go into effect how wine tastes is the type of grape, where the grape is grown, the elevation of the grape, the surroundings of the grape. Like if there is like a forest fire near the area, that affects the taste of the grapes that were near that area. So like, oh, the environment around the grapes really affect, and then how they are harvested really affect the grapes. So that's easy for people to understand because there's such a culture around understanding wine, and they're like people approach wine like that. But there's also the people that drink wine just to drink wine.
Yeah, you
They
buy a
like how it
$20
tastes.
box
Yeah,
wine.
two buck check, and
Yep.
they enjoy it.
I think I fall into that category.
Yeah, yeah. So we have that same approach to coffee, and there's the specialty and third wave um, culture around coffee is we are we're really intentional about how it's roasted, the region in which it's grown, the environment, like the elevation, like everything, where the everything with the coffee is important, just like wine. So, and then our approach to coffee is we calculate everything. So if we're making you a shot of coffee, we're weighing out how much we put into the portafilter, and we're weighing that on a scale, and then we're actually weighing the shot that comes out.
Oh, so you
So
guys have it
it's
all. You have it all dialed in.
yeah, and then we aim for about 32 seconds of the process. So we time it and we weigh everything. So we're getting exactly the taste and the we call it a yield. We're getting the exact yield that we intend to get, and then we train all our baristas to approach it. And the fun thing about coffee is there's really there's many different ways to do it, and it's very fluid. So you know, if you pull a shot for 33 seconds, or you could really do the exact same thing every time and get like it's never really tastes quite the same though. So it varies, but there's a by weighing and timing, you're getting a consistently good yield, but it also is
There's a little
different.
variation in
There's
there.
variations, and like we talked about earlier, like it's just fun
Yeah.
to do that. So
So when you guys are weighing it out like that, is that because that's the weight that you found? Okay, this tastes the best for
yeah,
me personally.
yeah, like 40 grams of coffee at 32 seconds. That's what we found. And then a few weeks later, we'll reevaluate. And if we're tasting it and that's kind of maybe a little on the sour side, we're like, okay, maybe we need to adjust our parameters, and we'll communicate that to our baristas and say, hey,
Hey, we need to change
we
this.
need to change this.
That's pretty
So,
intense.
yeah.
You're talking to a guy who I recently got a French press because I was like, oh, okay, I'll check it out. It was a Prime Day thing, so I was like, okay, why not? And
Right.
I'm just scooping,
Yeah.
spoonfuls of ground coffee in there.
Right.
It's Folgers.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh, yeah.
super basic.
Yeah.
But that ties into what you were talking about, this wino idea of where people are like, oh, this is a 1932 Cabernet
Right.
from, Ireland.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Oh, yeah.
okay, what? Like,
Exactly.
it's got hints of
Yeah.
hints of chocolate and nutmeg, and you're like, oh, is this not just wine? What are we talking about here?
Right.
But that's where culture is kind of going, especially with coffee now. More
Yeah.
people are getting into that. This is. I want gourmet. I want that feeling.
Right.
I want the best coffee I can taste.
Exactly. And yeah, that's kind of our mission and goal, is to just bring people along to like good coffee. And just like we, in the specialty third wave world, they get offended if you put sugar in it, or like white mochas are just this big, like they hate that people get white mochas, or
So is it just straight black coffee?
So it's milk and coffee with a little bit of, like, if you want a sweetener, like a lot of they like we like to play with like more natural flavorings. Like my favorite drink to make is a honey lavender latte. It's not like super sweet, but there's subtle flavoring, and people love that one. Or I like using brown sugar in some of my lattes. But yeah, our coffee tastes really, really good black, so I always try to have our customers come in and try our black coffee, because there is actually flavor to it. It's not just burned. It tastes really good. So that's kind of our hope, is to like bring Eureka along to a better coffee experience, and that's our goal. But we still offer the white mocha. We still offer the things that they're comfortable with, that they know. And if they're like, no, like we want, if they come and order a white mocha, we're not gonna.
So I don't think you can be here anymore. We gotta kick your ass out.
Exactly.
Is the white mocha and drinks like that to kind of just get customers in the door? So hey, we've got the basics, but when you're ready, we're gonna nudge you this way a little bit.
Exactly. And just the fact that our espresso is so intentional and just so dialed, your white mocha is just gonna taste all the more better anyways. But we stand by the fact that it really doesn't need it, because it tastes good.
So this whole oh no, continue.
Even our size standards, people will come in and order a 16 ounce or like 20 ounce. We don't carry that. We carry 8 ounce and 12 ounce, and that's where we're not about quantity. We're about the quality, and you can get just as much. If you want the caffeine, then you can just get just as much with a 12 ounce, and it's like you start to lose the flavor and the integrity of the coffee if you go any higher in size.
So you're trying to preserve that natural taste of the coffee. You don't want to just bury that in sugar.
No,
I think
milk.
a lot of people do that. I was one of those people. I go to Starbucks and get a caramel frappuccino with whatever on top. And it's like, you're not drinking coffee. Yeah. You're just having sugar water.
Right.
Like
and I don't want to knock that. That's just
it's good. It's addicting.
When people, to shout out, like Jitterbean or places locally, like, people will want you to say like, oh, their coffee is not as good as yours, or like that. I don't get into that, because Jitterbean does what Jitterbean does well, and they do really, really well at it. And but we have totally different audiences and totally different like focuses and approaches to coffee, and that's totally okay with me. And so, where's I going with that? What were we talking about?
We're talking about it's not bad if you like that sugary coffee.
Oh yeah, you
can have that, and it's gonna be okay.
And it's a tasty treat. Like I'll go to Jitterbean, I'll go to Dutch Bros. People will see it in my hand and be like, "Don't you own a the coffee shop, and I'm like, but I enjoy this too. Like
and you're not making, you're not making a rebel. Like that's not your niche.
No. Yeah. So we definitely we enjoy and love coffee, and like I'll have instant coffee every once in a while and really enjoy it. Like there's a taste to instant coffee that I just love. I don't know what it is, but it's tasty. So
that's a healthy perspective to have, right? You don't want to be a snob in your niche. People kind of slip into that. We're like, this is the only way to do it. And I almost feel a little blasphemous over here. I'm drinking a Starbucks canned coffee.
Right. Yeah.
But it's everything good in moderation,
Absolutely. Yeah.
So when you're talking about this third wave idea, is that just this kind of elevation of what it means to drink a coffee? Like we're not just doing the caramel frappuccino, we are doing these like honey in our coffee and these hints of things, and we're weighing it out and we're really trying to perfect what that means. Is that what the third wave means? What is...
Yeah, that...
Because I've never heard that term.
Right. Yeah, it's that is that third wave. It's the elevated experience of coffee. You're focused on the region. Like in the shop right now, we have a bean from Peru. We have a bean from Ethiopia. We have we're on our drip. We're doing a Colombia, and it is so good.
Colombia's got some of the best coffee, right?
Oh my gosh. I just was made aware of Colombia, is really tasty. It's like right in the middle. Like the more progressive coffees get a little kind of like sweet and kind of like a tea, but and that can be a little intense. Once you get those, you have the intensity of coffee, but you also have the intensity of like these very fruity flavors. And people aren't used to tasting that in their coffee. But Colombia has a really good like middle ground. It's familiar enough to enjoy, but it also is progressive enough to really kind of be like, oh, I'm kind of stepping out here. And it's such a good cup of coffee. So that's my go-to these days.
It's Colombian.
Yeah. So that's the kind of thought. Like we're not just like it. Our coffee people are like, what kind of crack are you putting in this stuff? Because it's lighter roast and it's processed in a way that is very, very caffeinated. So you can definitely get jacked up on that coffee.
Which is what most people are looking for. Yeah. Or I shouldn't say most, but aside from flavor, that's really one of the big go-tos for coffee, right?
Oh yeah.
Is the stereotypical, I've got to get some caffeine in my system.
Yeah, and our caffeine is very, very pure. So
Is there a way to control for that?
Yeah,
brewing coffee?
And that's not brewing. That's in the roasting process.
Okay.
And that's something that we want to get into in the future, but we use Theory Collaborative and their beans, and they're out of Reading. So kind of in a roundabout way, we're kind of back here to when my wife Sarah and I moved back here, we were really looking for that third wave specialty coffee shop. While we loved all the other coffee around, we were really looking for the specific type of coffee, the specialty third wave coffee, and we couldn't find it. And so we were like, we moved back in 2019, and so we kind of had that thought. Then like maybe we should like start our own. Let's bring it to Eureka or Humboldt County. Let's bring specialty coffee back with us. And how that happened, we were driving on, I think, E Street, and we saw this little, it was like a little boutique, it looked like a little hair salon or something. And it looked like it could have been a coffee shop, and something in our beings just jumped.
Just clicked.
And we were like, that'd be such a cool coffee shop. And then we were like, maybe we should start our own. And then we got super scared. Is that you
of all the things that can go wrong?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe we shouldn't.
Exactly. It got really intimidating, and we were very, very busy people. So at that time, we couldn't fathom taking on another thing. So it was just kind of a dream in the back of our minds, and we just we put it on the back burner, and then. Last summer it became reality. We had every once in a while from 4 or 5 years ago to when we started the coffee shop, we would have times of, okay, we're going to different areas and kind of looking at spaces and just kind of keeping the dream alive a little bit. And nothing really clicked until we saw our current location, and then
which is a great spot.
Yeah, it's
That's
wonderful.
a perfect spot for a little coffee shop.
Yeah, and I love the area. I love like Myrtletown is such a cool place, and I have a lot of hope for it in the future, and to just kind of be part of what's happening there. You got food trucks, you've got other businesses that are amazing. When I was doing construction on the space and remodels, I would see people like out and about.
It's a busy little spot over there.
Yeah, and I'm like, this place actually has potential to be, have just a little more activity. So it's really nice to be in that area and part of it, and just to talk to people that are local, as well as people that are just, they might not live in that part of town, but they'll swing in and say, hey.
So what flipped the switch and made you guys realize, okay, we do need to do this? Because that first step, that's what trips everyone up. Yeah. It's the hardest one. Yeah. It's just to get over the hump of, man, we should do this, but maybe not. I mean, maybe it wouldn't work for us.
There was a time, I think it was March of 2021. We went and visited Sarah's family, and we drove back, and someone was dog sitting our dog, and we went to pick it up, and on the way from Medford, her family was in Medford, so we're driving from Medford. On the way, we had we would talk a little bit on the drive about just about kind of future and what's on our hearts, and then we parked to pick up our dog, and like all of a sudden we're outside of the house just talking, and like there's just something that like both of us aren't saying, and then I finally was like, really, like if we don't do this, we're gonna look back and really regret it. Like I felt really, really strongly about that, and we were sitting out there probably for like 30 minutes to an hour, just talking it out and just really making sure that this was a jump, because I mean, even then we didn't know how much work it was going to be. We didn't know how much of a sacrifice it would be, but we had an idea of what we were getting into, and we really had to make sure that this is something worth jumping for. And yeah, that was kind of the point. The turning point was realizing that, yeah, if we don't do this, we're really going to regret it in the future. So we just kind of, from there, we started taking slow steps towards it. And I think once you make that decision, I think there's always, there was definitely times where we could have been like, maybe we shouldn't do it. But every time we stepped into something, it just kept working out. And now we're here.
Here we are.
Yeah, here we are. Yeah.
Regret can be a very strong motivator if you let it.
Oh, absolutely.
It can be very strong. Yeah. Can be paralyzing as well if you're not careful, but
right.
It's always better to figure out what happens than to wonder what if.
Exactly.
I think.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's a good way to look at it.
I believe that too. And I think there are certain dreams and opportunities that we just have to trust and jump and do it. And
just see what happens.
Exactly.
I mean, what's the worst? What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
My mom likes to say, "You're not going to lose your birthday," and that's what I always felt back.
Exactly.
I'm not going to lose my birthday. Nobody's going to take that away from me.
Exactly. And we've learned so much. I have grown so much personally through this experience. Like, I definitely started a little insecure in myself, a little more of a pushover, but having to run a business really. It
pulls you up on your feet.
It grows you up real quick. So I still have tons to learn. Anything you get into, like the specialty coffee world, there's so much to learn. Like I am scratching the surface. Like I feel like even explaining coffee to you right now, I'm just like, this is what I know so far. Like there are probably people listening that know more about coffee than I do right now, and they're probably like, you're not talking about this, but I'm still learning those things, Like I know the process that we have, and we've got Theory, the people that that we get our beans from right now, and some of our baristas, like they are really coming alongside of us and like teaching us stuff, patient with us, working with us, and like building this coffee shop. So it's a ever growing thing. Like you know, we haven't arrived, and who knows if we will arrive to like exactly what maybe other people's standards are, but we're making sure that we're doing what we're doing now really well and being intentional about that. And I think that's what matters most.
And the important thing is your standards, right? Your standards and your wife's standards for what it is. I think you can get tripped up on trying to build something that other people approve of.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, as long as you're hitting your bar, I mean, unless your bar is like really low and
right.
you're just taking way too many baby steps.
Right.
But if you've got a realistic bar and you know what your standard is, I think that's important. That's what you should be focusing on is this something I'm proud of?
Right. And I am. And I'm just excited to see where it goes from here.
Yeah.
And we have people, like I said, like Sarah and I are very, very busy. We've got all sorts of different projects, things that we do. And people ask like, how do you like handle it all? How do you find the time? How do you find the time? And really it's about community. It's about the people that we have around us. Like we have so many just amazing people, and we've built relationships with people and entrusted, like we've had to entrust our dream with other people. We've had to be, it's been a learning experience, especially for me, how to be specific and straightforward with what I want to see done, but also let go and let people have the freedom to do like what they feel. They're like utilize their giftings as well. Like, you know, I have a specific, like for our baker, Bailey, I think she's Bailey_Kimberling on Instagram. Like you can
shout out to Bailey.
Shout out to Bailey. She's amazing. She's incredible. And like, I'll tell her this is what I want, and then she'll take it from there. Like we usually, like I'll say, I want 3 pastries. And then she'll make whatever 3 pastries she wants. And she has them recurring, and she kills them. Like just, they are delicious. Like they are, like there's nothing that tastes like it because it's her. Like she is just really good at what she does. And if I try to micromanage that and say, you can use this, you can't use this, or you can make this, you can't make this, you have to make it this way, you know, this is our standard, instead of just letting her just set the standard and do it how she does it well, while maintaining, like, you know, she has to follow health code, like that kind of stuff. Like,
yeah, she's now shedding into the codes. That might be a problem.
Right.
But you're not setting the standard, but you're setting the expectation, and she is playing around within that realm.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
The micromanaging thing is dangerous because nobody likes that. Nobody likes to feel like somebody's breathing down your shoulder.
Exactly.
Especially being a baker, I mean, there's a lot of creativity in that.
Right.
Okay, what am I going to make? Am I going to make a scone? Am I going to make a Danish? What am I feeling?
Right.
And if you were like, okay, you're going to make it this exact way.
Exactly.
That might be a problem.
Yeah.
I could see Bailey she might have an issue with that.
She might. And then she's training other people to do that same thing. And it's like multiplying, you know. She's baking is, man, crazy hours. It's very, like, I've seen it. I see how high stress it can be, and just the getting up early in the morning so that everything's ready to go by the time we open. Like it's hard. So she's training and getting people ready to do it as well. So there's not as much pressure on her. So that's kind of what we really like to see, is okay, we're entrusting this person, and that person's entrusting these people, and that multiplication of just creativity and effectiveness and yeah, whatever you want to call it.
Was it hard not micromanaging her at the beginning? Because this is your baby, right? This
right.
is your thing. You're like, I have this vision of what I want. Was it hard to kind of give her a little more leash? Or not her specifically, but just with the business in general, kind of set the expectation and then let everybody run wild with it?
That's something that I'm good at. I am trying to learn how to be good at developing, like, leadership development, developing leaders, developing people to really go after their dreams and goals. And I get to do it on this little scale of Harbor, where they're employed but I'm also encouraging them to follow their dreams, hopes, and goals. It's really beyond, like, everyone that works for us right now is probably not going to, it's a part-time job, so they're probably not going to be with us forever. Each person that works for us, so they're gonna go do their own things. But I want to be someone who empowers them to really to learn those skills of how do I be creative in what I do, take advantage of the opportunities that I have within Harvard, but also like I hope Bailey starts her own bakery one day, and then we're just a wholesale account for her, and one of the many, like that's my hope, is to help give people a strong foundation so that they can do more. And so that's kind of where my focus was at the very beginning. So it was a lot easier. I think the difficulty for me is definitely maybe on the other side of like just staying with them, just holding them accountable that they're getting like the job done and getting it done the proper way. Like I'm working on developing more of a standard, and
like more accountability.
More accountability.
Okay.
And
so you're on the opposite
I'm on the other end.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like, I trust you, go do it.
Then they're outside smoking a joint. You're like, hey,
exactly.
Maybe we should cook something.
Yeah, I mean, in my first month, I had to fire someone. I had to, I've done a lot of like conflict resolution. I've had to really put my big boy pants on and just call the shots. And so I can do it, and like I've learned how to do it, but it's definitely it's my least favorite thing to do. And there are probably areas where I can be a little more involved, and walk alongside people instead of just being like, okay, go.
Yeah.
And I don't want our employees feeling deserted or anything, so that's kind of what I focus on. I don't think anyone feels that way. It's just it's more likely than them feeling micromanaged, I think, by me.
It's very interesting that you kind of went into your business with that perspective, because a lot of people, they start their business and they set it up in a way where they want everyone they bring in to stay there. Like,
right.
This is your priority. Your priority is helping me build my dream. We're all working on this one thing.
Right.
And we're focusing. We're working 15 hours. We're focusing on this idea. I don't want you working on your other project, because then you're taking away from your time.
Yeah.
I think, especially, I'm a little biased because that's like the tech startup world, which is what
right.
I'm a little more familiar with.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing. Especially like in game development, you're just working on this one idea. You're not out programming your other thing on the side. No, we're working every day on this one thing.
Right.
And it's interesting hearing you say, well, I want to help them build their ideas too. I want this to kind of be a pit stop on their journey to where they're going to end up.
Right.
I think that's a really awesome way to look at it.
Yeah, and that's the vision of our shop in general. That's why it's called Harbor. It's a place where people just can come rest. The phrase that I use is step into harbor, step out of the hurry, and you're stepping. At the beginning of it, I was trying to build a shop that was very unique to Humboldt, like was nothing like it. So I coined the term step into harbor, step out of Humboldt. But it just has that connotation of like Humboldt negativity. And I do love Humboldt, so I changed it to step out of the hurry, because that's the main focus of it. Is you're out in the world, and it's busy, it's messy. Especially once 2022 hit, everyone was like, let's get back to normal, and that happened fast. Like people were like, let's bring back everything we used to do and more.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, man, it is getting really, really fast. And to have a place where people can come in, whether they're spending 5 minutes or literally 5 hours. Like, we've had some people stay there for a really long time. Like, just to come in and experience some sort of rest so they can go out and just continue doing what they're doing. And that's, the name Harbor. You're never supposed to stay at the pier or at the dock. You're supposed to get some rest, get what you need, so that you can go back out. And that's kind of our focus. I want people to come. I want people to rest, get what they need, and then go back out. And I think that just goes right back down to how we interact with and treat our employees. Is you're coming to a place that is really accepting and a place that is really understanding, that has a lot of patience, a lot of grace, and but we're not just letting you stay this. We're not just letting you like not work or not develop. We're also pushing you towards growth and development. But it's a safe place to do that. It's a place to try things, make mistakes, and grow, and then eventually
go on your way.
You know. And I mean, we have some employees that will probably be with us for a long time, and that's obviously fine with me.
Yeah, having not a bad add-on.
Right, having a few people that really know their stuff, have learned. We have an amazing general manager. His name's Justin. He did we would not be where we are now without him. He was in the shop, putting the lights up, painting, like getting everything ready for us. Like we would just come in, tell him what we wanted, and he would like do it. And we would come in and help. But he was the one that was like, he put blood, sweat, and tears into that place. And we're really, really thankful for that. And like he's someone that's still with us, and he is he handles a lot of the culinary directing. He handles a lot of the ordering, and he helps us maintain that mindset of what we're all about. And he really does a good job of loving and caring for our employees. And yeah, just when our employees go through breakups and go through deaths in the family and go through, but also the fun stuff, right? The weddings and we have a lot of that. We like knowing what's happening in our employees' lives and walking alongside them. And Justin helps us do that.
That's awesome.
And we've walked with Justin through all that stuff too.
Yeah.
So
that's an awesome perspective.
Yeah.
You don't hear that with a lot of businesses.
Well, they say like don't go into business with your friends.
Don't go into business with any friends you want to stay friends with.
Right.
That's the thing.
And that's and then there I was starting a business with my closest friends, and business is supposed to be bad for your marriage. It's supposed to be bad for your friendships, and you
made it work.
Yeah, so far. If I were unaware of it, it'd be stupid, but I know that that's a risk, and you have to know your risks, and you have to be intentional about making sure those risks don't become reality. And that's what I really try to do, not to be complacent to my risks, and that helps me be more efficient. But I can't take care of all my risks all at once. That's the hard part for me, is there's always just a low level of risk and danger.
It's part of life.
It's just part of, yeah, that's for sure.
You just got to keep moving forward.
Yeah. But so far it's been great. I went into this, knowing that was a big risk. I'm looking at it. We're not open yet. I'm just like, these are my closest friends. And we have a business partner, and he was he's still one of our closest friends, one of my mentors, one of Sarah's mentors. We love him dearly, and we had to make the decision, if Harbor fails, we're still friends. Like the business, we lose tons of money, like that's okay. We still have our birthdays, right? We had to be okay with that. Going bankrupt together before we could really step into this too. We had to be okay with everything else failing, but maintaining our friendship.
Was that a difficult conversation to have?
Yeah.
Because now it's not just you and your wife. It's now we've got our friend, and if this crashes, right. It's on our heads.
Yeah, and it's something that will bring me anxiety from time to time. And luckily, our business partner is just an amazing person. So they are very understanding, very, very patient, and they know that they've made that decision as well. So yeah, just having that mutual understanding. And even with, everyone else, we have to, even though we're friends, we have to be okay with firing certain people. And some certain people that work for us we're closer with than others, but we have to, at the end of the day, we have to be okay with firing them. And we have to be okay with, like, say, Justin. I'm very, very close with Justin. If we were to fire him, we have talked, we'd still be friends. We've had, like, it's really weird. It's really weird to say because I never would, but I could, and that's the thing. But I never, we will definitely, if you will work with us, we'll work with you. That's just mutual agreement, and that's worked out for us for now.
Yeah. Yeah. You seem pretty big on this idea of being intentional. Is that something that you stumbled on just in the business, or was that kind of in you beforehand?
I've had a lot of intentional people in my life.
So it's something you've kind of picked up on.
It's something I've picked up on. I'm not book smart. I don't read a lot of books, but I am very observant. So I will watch how different businesses operate, how different people interact with other people. There's an idea of mentorship where it's relational. I'm very big into mentorship. So from learning from people, mentorship is so much bigger than an older person investing in a younger person. It's older investing in younger, but I've also mentored people older than me. People older than me have learned something from me, and I've learned something from younger people. I interact with a lot of high school students and college students and even junior hires. They teach me things too. And I think we have this, we have this divide of generations. And from a very young age, I learned to really respect, not just respect the person, but respect what this person had to offer me, and to always have a learning mindset and be able to learn from them. And as I get older, I want to have that same attitude towards the people that are younger than me, learning from them, learning from their perception. Because I may have witnessed or seen things that have happened, but we have two totally different viewpoints. So me at, I'm 27, I see in the news that a mass shooting happens. Sorry, I've brought that pretty intense.
Oh, no. We can talk about whatever on the podcast.
That's cool.
Nothing's off limits. Yeah.
But me as a 27-year-old perceives a mass shooting way different than a junior hire does. And we have two totally different perspectives. And even whatever it is, it could be political, it could be, humor. I was told recently that I have boomer humor. I'm a really funny person, but I still want to learn what the younger generation finds funny. But it's just how we perceive, we've got the world in front of us, but we're perceiving it totally different, and at different ages and different backgrounds and different upbringings. And I always want to be open to learning from all of that. So going back to intentionality, that's what I've experienced is the more intentional you are in your relationships. That's where I was with the mentorship. There's that person-to-person mentorship, and it's way bigger than just older to younger. It's all generations.
Yeah, I don't believe in that.
All people.
That line of age.
And male and female too. I was raised, men mentor men, women mentor women, and no, gender is a thing too. You can learn from all different people.
Yeah, I don't believe in that line either.
Right.
Yeah, I've had some of the most impactful people in my life have been women. So when people go to that and they're like, they just brush it off. I'm like, oh, you are missing out on so much, man.
Yeah.
Or whoever, you know?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and so people that are closed-minded and won't like listen, you know, they might be good from mouth to ear, but you really got to let it sink in. You know, you got to let it go to your mind. You got to let it go to your heart, and you have to really, like, you have to learn how to listen to things, but you have to listen for things. You have to be like, okay, like they might have said this, especially in conflict. You have to listen past the insult someone's throwing at you. You just have to, because it's coming from somewhere. So even in conflict, I'm listening for, like, okay, what is really being communicated? And like I had to get on one of my employees, and I had this conflict. I had a conflict. I'll go into a little more depth.
We're going in.
It's a fun story. Let's go into that.
Is this the employee that was fired?
No, it wasn't the employee that was fired. But I am really bad at keeping track of. I've got so much stuff going on up here that the little things like keeping track of receipts is lost on me. I'm horrible at keeping track of like the paperwork side. And it's something that I have to work on. And I lost a few employees' reimbursement receipts. And they weren't upset about the money lost, because it wasn't like a lot of money. But they were upset that was not intentionality. They gave me a receipt, and what was loving and intentional to them was reimbursing them, keeping track of it. And it might sound really funny, but that was important to this person. So I had to, I could have been like, it was like, you know, I'm horrible at keeping track of stuff.
Yeah, just kind of blown it off.
Yeah, maybe it's your fault you didn't turn it into me the right way, or I could have passed it or blown it off. Yeah, for sure. So, but in that conflict, I had to listen past the offense and realize like because what was in front of me was, you didn't reimburse me. But what was behind it was, you don't care for me because you weren't intentional about returning. Like it wasn't loving or caring that you received something from me and you just lost it, you know? And, you know, I was good at returning other people's receipts, but I didn't return theirs, you know, or reimbursing theirs. So I really had to listen and understand, hey, like, even down to reimbursements, like I have to be intentional about, I had to be intentional about making sure that even in the small things that can communicate my care and love for my employees. So that's like, I don't even, we're
just one of those learning life lessons.
Yeah, life lessons
of how to deal with other people, you know?
Yeah, and within mentorship, like that's huge. Like you have to be working with people and be looking at more than that. So with that, as we're talking about intentionality, I also take that mentorship can also be impersonal. So you can watch a movie and be mentored by the movie. Influencers are huge right now. So
that's an understatement.
Exactly. So on TikTok, you're being mentored by someone who doesn't even know you. And so that is something that I'm always trying to learn from people that specialize in something, or just watching how they put intentionality into what they do, and taking that kind of mindset and applying it to what I do.
So you're big on just learning.
Yeah.
Not necessarily from a book, but from the world.
Yeah.
You're just paying attention.
Exactly.
That's a good way to learn.
Yeah, it is a good way to learn.
Yeah.
Books have failed me. Like I can't, you know, they work for other people, but it doesn't work for me. And I wish, you know, I wish I were better at reading, but I'm just not.
Can you sit still? Is that the problem?
Yeah. So I was recently diagnosed with ADHD, and I think that's there's a whole, people are probably rolling their eyes right now about it, but it really is. I sat down with people who had it, like really have it, like diagnosed by a doctor, psychologist, like they have it. And then I sat down with a few friends of mine who are psychologists and doctors, and like I really was made sure that like as I talked to them, like I totally have it. And then I went and got diagnosed myself, and it has allowed so many things to fall into place. Like I'm like I totally get like the whole
having ADHD has helped that.
Like realizing that I have it.
Okay.
So like I didn't know until like a few months ago that.
Oh, so like, pretty recent.
Pretty recent. And so I've had to confront that, and it's been really funny with Sarah because she, we've been married for 7 years. She's been married to almost not two different people. Like I'm the same I was for the whole 7 years, but she's relearning how I communicate now because I'm aware of it, and I'm not just letting it be an excuse. I'm actually handling it and putting tools around me to develop as a person and improve my communication and improve my like our meeting today was in a calendar. I never would have put it in a calendar. I'm putting things around myself to help me be more successful. And it really stemmed. I read one page of a book.
That's all you need.
Yeah, exactly.
Just the back cover. Yeah, you're fine.
Exactly.
You can get the gist.
And that one page said, here's what ADHD looks like, and here's how it will ruin your life. And I was like, yep, that tracks. And I'm being, like when I'm reading this, I'm in a place where, like, things are going okay, but I'm seeing where the dangers are, and I'm seeing where I can improve. So I'm like, I could be way more efficient if I actually figure this thing out. So it was hard. It was hurtful. I've had to apologize and regain trust. Sarah she's getting used to, like, I'm making fewer Amazon purchases. Impulse is a huge thing. So I'm making less impulsive decisions, and she's learning to trust that, like, that's how I operate.
You're not just gonna go.
I'm not just gonna go on a buying spree. It's not perfect. Like I will make stupid purchases or, binge on popcorn or something. But like she's learning to like get to know how I communicate now, and communication was huge. I'm communicating a lot better, and she's getting used to like. Me actually saying what I mean and meaning it. Where before I was like just had so much anxiety, I wouldn't really say what I meant. And so she'd have to pry and try to figure it out.
Try to decipher where you actually going here.
Yeah. So I'm really like, it is really, she's really been gracious and like, yeah.
Are you taking any medications for that?
So I am.
Okay.
I'm on adderall. And
it's gotta feel good, huh?
It does. It really does. And it like, I don't really feel because it's Adderall is for me.
It slows you down, right? That's the whole process. Is if we give you some speed, you're gonna mellow out a little bit.
Exactly, and it makes sense because when I drink coffee, I actually calm down. So that's common with people with ADHD, and I never really like. I could drink a cup of coffee at 10 p.m. and sleep. Like it's just, I never really understood it until now, and that's actually common. So that's something that I've realized, and so when I started taking it, and I went on like a week-long vacation, and so I like the first day. The thoughts were going so there was usually a noise in my head, or it was either noise or like just constant thoughts coming in. And then after taking it, that noise was gone. and thoughts were coming in like way slower. So I'm able to like things will pop in, so it become a lot less funny. Because part of my charm.
That's a side effect they should have listed on the side of the bottle. Yeah. Don't take if you want to get into comedy, because it's not going to work out.
Humor is decreased.
Wow, that's interesting. Just because the thoughts aren't coming at you as fast.
And I can catch it. Like I'm less inclined to say something stupid. And
shit, like, that's 90% of what I do here.
Exactly.
Just say something stupid.
So I'm sorry to disappoint you.
No, you're good.
Yeah. So
that's interesting.
Thoughts come in slower, and I'm able to process those thoughts quicker because there's less going on. That whole concept of slowing down to go faster, and so things have slowed down so that I can be more efficient and process things actually faster because there's not as much going on. So it's been life-changing. So I mentioned that vacation. So we're on vacation, and we had like a 5-hour plane ride. And usually on a plane ride, I hate planes, but so there's like tons of anxiety in there. So that would even increase, like just like, okay, I'm watching a movie, trying to, I'd use it as an opportunity. Okay, I'm sitting for a while, so I can probably read a book. No, like I would, listen. Sorry, I would start a podcast, listen a little bit, switch to music, watch a movie, read a little bit, like just all these
just jump around.
Just jump around. For this flight, I did a crossword. Or multiple crosswords for like 5 hours, just focused. And it was like, I've never been able to focus on something for that long, for that amount of time. So like that, yeah, just totally.
Night and day difference.
Yeah. And it's really, I was really uncomfortable with taking medication. There's a big stigma around it. And it's especially that like Adderall has been so abused.
And heavily stigmatized.
Heavily stigmatized now. Yeah. So I'm a very open person, so I have no problem saying that I take it and joking around about it, which I probably shouldn't do, but like I'm very like everyone I know knows that I take it. Like I'm okay with that. But it was something going into that I was really afraid of. And so I was trying to, I'd keep a calendar for a couple days and then just totally lose track of like just kind of like, you start a diet and then 2 days later you're like, okay, I'm done.
Just binging right. In and out. Yeah, I know
exactly. So that's how keeping a calendar felt. And that's what would happen. And so one of my friends with ADHD, he said it's about he used it's made up like 70-30 or 80-20, like just it's like you said, it's like 70% medication, 30% tools and planning. So the medication slows you down enough to where you can put tools around yourself to be successful. So that's what I'm really focusing on is I want to use the medication so that I can put the things around myself to be more efficient and more successful.
It's like giving you a floaty in a pool.
Exactly.
Like we're a little tired. We're just going to take this floaty and that's going to keep us up.
Right. Okay. And then I just went off it for like 5 days and
just to see what happened. And
I felt so good.
Good off of it.
Yeah, good off of it. Like because I had been slowed down for like a month or two, I could tell that I had habits already built. So when I went off of it, I had things around me that were carrying me even though I wasn't on the medication. So I was used to having a calendar. I was used to a way that I communicated. I was used to having less anxiety. Like my anxiety has gone down a ton. Like making a phone call or doing this, like I'd be freaked out. But I'm not anymore. And so that's like, and I'm still processing that. I don't exactly know why that is. But I think it's just allowed me to, like I said, just put things in place so that I can handle life a little easier, a little more organized. And I think that's...
Is that the usual plan with that? Is to take the medication just for a short period of time and then get these tools in place and then wean off?
I don't think so.
Most people stay on the medication.
Most people stay, and I'm staying on it because, I definitely wasn't as efficient and wasn't like it. I definitely needed to go back on, but my doctor recommended that I do take breaks from it. So that's what I did, and I could definitely tell the difference. But I definitely wasn't as efficient and as focused as I am on it.
You just didn't spin off the walls.
I didn't spin off the walls.
Because you had those tools.
Yeah, which was really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I don't know if that's common for other people. I haven't heard that.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I'm very new.
You're the first person I've met that actually was prescribed Adderall and is taking it. I've met a lot of people using it for other reasons, not prescription-wise.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'd be curious to what they say, too.
Yeah.
How it affects them.
Most of the time, what I get is that they're cracked out
Yeah.
for, however long. They get done whatever they need to get done, and then they don't really remember what happened, and then they crashed.
Wow.
I'm like, oh, all right, I guess. I mean, I hear that it makes you incredibly productive.
Yeah.
It does that.
Yeah. And it's a danger. I mean,
a lot of college kids I knew took that.
Right. Yeah, to study and get through college. And
stay up for a test.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And, I'm probably taking way less than they would at a time.
I believe that. You're probably not mixing it with alcohol at the same
not
time.
Mixing it, I'm very...
A little different realm.
Yeah, I love caffeine. I have to be careful how much caffeine I have with it as well.
Because it'll mess up that balance?
I don't know what it does. I probably should know.
That's interesting. I would have thought it'd mellow you out even more, like a higher dose of Adderall.
Right. I think so. I think it does. But I'd have to research that and figure that out. Now I can read, so... I've been scrolling through TikTok of different influencers on TikTok about ADHD, and one of the I probably should give them credit. I don't remember their name, but basically the gist was one person, a person who didn't have ADHD, was reading a paper like an agenda, and then the person without it. Or the person with ADHD was reading the paper, and the paper had sections of it cut out. And the person was like, "Don't you understand this agenda?" And the ADHD person is looking at it and just can't there are pieces of the paper missing, so missing information. And someone who doesn't have ADHD can just read and process and understand quickly.
Because you've got all the pieces.
You've got all the pieces, and we're just
what is happening?
What is it? Yeah.
What is this?
People hand me papers sometimes, and I don't know what to do with this. If they tell me step by step, and I can focus on it, it's a lot easier. I'm a phone caller. I can't do text. I can't text.
I've got hundreds of unanswered text messages.
Oh, 100%.
I just don't respond. I'm like, listen, I don't have the bandwidth. We got to figure something else out.
And it's really hard because people take it personally. And I have to, that's another intentionality thing. It goes a long way. And you have to, I think it's maybe a pride thing why we don't. But it really does go a long way. Even though if you left someone on red for a week and a half, it goes a long way just to say, hey, I saw this. And I don't hate you. I just I'm really busy right now. And they might come back and say, well, it really doesn't feel like you care about me because you left me on red for so long. But it does still go a long way. I think before medication, I'd just be terrified and afraid of arguing with someone in your mind. You're already assuming what they're going to say before they say it. So that was often the reason why I wouldn't reach out and be like, hey, I'm really sorry I missed this text. Like I was just really, really busy, and I'd fear what they're going to say instead of really just giving them a chance to respond and forgive, or heck, if they still have a problem with it, let's work it out. So I think it goes a long way just to, to
just
reach out and say, hey, I'm sorry.
My bad.
I didn't mean it. My bad.
I do not do that.
Yeah.
I'm so bad at that.
I've built a persona, like people.
Oh yeah, I've trained my friends. My friends all know that if they get a text from me within a week, it's a great week.
Yeah, absolutely. And some people are good with that, and some people
do not like it.
Yeah, and they're fans. Like, you're flighty, or you're irresponsible, or and that is what it is. But it's really not our intention.
Yeah, my excuse is always, if it's important, I will be there. Like if you call me and say, "Hey, I need you," I'm there. 100%. But if you text me, good luck.
Oh yeah,
I might just go and answer it into the void.
And if the text exceeds the screen,
then you just check out. You're like, there's too much reading.
No way, dude. Like I cannot do that. So if I see a big text, I'll either I have my master's, or I don't have my master's. I've got bachelor's degree and my first year master's done. I'm taking a little break. What was I gonna say? Going to school taught me how to, when I wasn't good at reading, I would have loved Adderall in college. It would have helped me out so much. I didn't even know people, till recently, you don't notice how many Priuses are on the road until you buy a Prius and then you see them. Yep. So I'm on Adderall now. I'm familiar with all the Adderall.
Everybody's on it.
Everyone does it, whether recreationally or, for medication. I mean, we don't have to talk about drugs and all that right now, but in college, I learned how to look for the important information. So, I'd never read the books assigned to me, but I learned how to read the book to get the information I needed to write the paper. So that was, in a text, that's how I will approach a message. I'll look for the information that's important and then disregard the rest. Or I'll just call them and be like, I got your text. Will you please just
give me the highlights?
Yeah, give me the highlights. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Were you worried at all when you got on it that it would change your personality, kind of tweak it in a way that you didn't want?
Well, yeah, because humor and my goofiness and my just kind of my
playful character.
Yeah, it turned into, because it had gone so long undiagnosed, it just became a part of who I was, and I was accepted for who I was, and I was accepted as the goofy, flighty, irresponsible, somehow gets things done, but also you can't really rely on him to turn in his receipts. I found a lot of identity and safety in that, in who I had become, because I was endearing. I'm a fun, happy guy, and people don't like disappointing me. People don't like when I'm bummed or angry or upset, and so it became I would get away with a lot more than the average person because of who I was and who I became and who I could be. And some of that was, a lot of it was innocent. I didn't know I was doing that, but I realized that I was someone who just, I became someone who, I was who I was, secure and confident in who I was. And we kind of, me and other people, learned how to
just get
by. And so that was I realized a little bit of it was before and a little bit after. Before I started realizing, I really started to see after I read that page. That's really
that one page.
That one page. That's just crazy.
Moral of this podcast is going to be just read one page and it's going to change your life.
Exactly. Honestly, that's a good point. Just, you don't have to do it all at once. Just do a little piece.
Just take a baby step.
Take a baby step. And that's, I bought a whole book on Amazon about ADHD, because I was curious, because I had started to see some signs, and then I read one page of it, and then that just set it all into motion. And so I kind of started seeing those patterns, and then once I was aware of it, I started to see the Priuses on the road. I started to see the ways that I was letting people down, and my eyes were open to that. And some people started coming to me with things, and conflicts would always happen. But I started to see that's why it's happening. Like, I'm, part of ADHD is like not staying consistent in friendships. Like, I'm a really friendly guy, easy to get along with, but going deep in relationships is really difficult for me, and that's common in people with ADHD. So
now, why is that?
I don't know. Like,
just these surface level relationships.
I think as intentional as I am, I think intentionality is difficult in relationships. I think it's a lot like.
Well, and it's easier to be flighty, right? If it's not that serious.
Yeah.
Then we could just text a little bit, have fun, go out.
Exactly.
But it never has to become like commitment level,
right.
Where now it's a daily thing I'm dealing with.
Yeah, and I think that's probably most evident in my marriage. Like we have had to work really, really hard to stay connected, and I think it's been even harder on my wife because I am so flighty and hard to nail down and hard to just get a serious conversation. And sometimes it would happen, sometimes it wouldn't. So that was, to she's been incredibly loving and patient. So that was something that I think was just really, really difficult, and something that I'm still learning to do better is, all right, I think when she wants to go take the dogs on a walk, it's pretty clear to me that she wants to talk, and she wants to catch up. And it could be about nothing at all. Like, she just wants to talk about life.
Just to hang out, yeah.
But it's so terrifying, because I know, I don't know. Like, it's just really intimidating and scary to me. Do I love my wife? Yes. Do I love talking to her? Yes. Do I love the intimate connection we have when we do have those deep talks? Yes. But something about it is just.
It's almost like that expectation that we're going to talk makes it work.
Dude,
it's different if you're just playing video games and she sits down and you start talking. But it's the expectation of, we're going to do this thing and now we're going to talk. It's like, what does that mean?
Yeah, and that's we did that last night. That was I sat down on the couch and she asked me to sit closer to her. And that just drove me crazy, because I wanted to sit down where I wanted to sit down. We do this with food too. I make 5 chicken nuggets. I want to eat 5 chicken nuggets. So she takes it off my